Hello everybody, Roger here, and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. So today I'm doing another book review. The book is entitled The Bear and the Nightingale, written by Catherine Arden. So as usual, my review will be broken down into 4 parts. Story synopsis, prose, what I liked, cons, what I didn't like, and final verdict. So on to the story. This is a novel based on Russian folklore. It is kind of a dark fairy tale based on a variety of creatures, gods, and household spirits. The story takes place in the 14th century and follows Vasilisa Petronova, a spirited young girl who has the second sight, as did her mother, who passed away when Vasilisa, also called Vasya, was born. So the girl is a bit of a rebel, and she's not one for following rules. She's also able to see a variety of household guardian spirits, such as the domovoi, who helps clean the house and assist with the mending, spirits of the forest, and spirits of the stables, the barnyards and stables as well. Oh, and Vasya can also communicate with horses. Now, people in the story regularly comment on Vasya's wildness, some villagers referring to her as a wood sprite, others a witch. So one day her father returns from Moscow with a new wife, Anna, who is extremely devout and strict. Anna forbids her family from honoring and providing offerings to the household spirits. So once the people of the village stop making these offerings to the spirits, bad things begin to happen. Crops start to fail, food sources dwindle, children of the village sicken and then die, and evil creatures of the forest begin to draw nearer and nearer. Soon we learn that a beast known as the Bringer of Storms has awoken and has broken from the control of his brother, Morosko, who is the Lord of Winter. So soon a battle will take place between the two brothers, and Vasya has to call upon her innate gifts that she has thus hidden from everyone up to this point, in order to protect her family and her village from the newly awakened threat. So on to the prose, things I liked. I found it fascinating to read Vasya's interaction with the spirits and how she integrated herself more and more into their world. Vasya was a badass. I loved the strong, bold, rebellious heroine and found myself falling in love with her more and more as the story progressed. Headstrong, confident, and a tad rebellious, I feel that she provides an excellent role model for young women. And though she wants to please her family and tries to do what's proper for a young lady, she is not big on rules and desires freedom above all else. Freedom to be the person that she is meant to be, which of course creates some major conflicts in the story. In so doing, this amazing character succeeds in outsmarting both men and demons. Now, Vasya did not allow anyone to harness her into a stifling domestic life typically required of a young noblewoman, nor did she allow anyone to put her behind the walls of a convent, which was where those who didn't fit in often ended up, especially those who refused a life of subservience to a husband. Another thing that I liked was the world building. It was really amazing. I felt that the world that Ms. Arden created in the story was magical, captivating, and compelling, and also dark and dangerous. And the detail that went into this storytelling made it real for the reader, or at least it did for me. The prose is absolutely beautiful. It's incredibly imaginative with vivid descriptions, a truly magical plot, and a huge array of interesting and complex characters. Now, this was a perfect fairy tale, complete with spirits, demons, a wicked stepmother, tensions between modern religion and the old gods, Russian history, and even The Walking Dead. Now, as for the cons or niggles that I had with the book, the first half of this book is basically heavy world building and backstory, so there was not a whole lot of action going on. In fact, I almost bailed on this book about 30% in. I listened to this book, an audiobook, by the way, and I was probably about 2 hours or so in, and I was like, I don't know if I want to continue this. And I did consider DNFing the book as not a whole lot was happening. However, I am really, really happy that I stuck it out. It was definitely worth it. Another niggle that I had was that every character had several nicknames, which I found kind of confusing. For instance, one of the brothers of our main character, Alexei, was also called Lyosha. And Vasya is often referred to as Vasilisa, and I think Vasila as well. So once I got the hang of it, however, I did stop noticing the nicknames so much, and I pretty much figured out who was who. Maybe it would have been easier, in reading the book than I was listening to it. But yeah, I did find that kind of jarring initially. Also, my understanding is that there was a glossary of terms in the paperback, hardcover and ebook versions of this book, which of course was not included in the Audible version. So this might have been helpful getting through that first part of the book, especially with the numerous names of the demons and spirits in the book. So all in all, I found this a bewitching novel that was a pure joy to read. This is a captivating and haunting story, dark at times and humorous in others. It's a combination historical fiction, fairy tale, Russian mythology, Russian folklore, and a coming-of-age story, and in my opinion, was exemplary storytelling. I really love the otherworldly fairy tale aspect to it, and I found it enchanting in every way. I was completely enthralled by this book, in fact. I've heard people refer to this book as a fairy tale for grown-ups, and which really nails it, in my opinion, because that's exactly what it was. I'm also glad that I read this in the middle of winter, because this was kind of a perfect winter read, because a good majority takes place in the dark, cold winter time of Russia. So this was an enticing story with a complete and gratifying conclusion. Now, I do understand that there is at least a second book that continues this story, which I definitely will be reading. This one definitely hooked me. So I do recommend this book, and I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. We'll say 4.5. So, and that is it for The Bear and the Nightingale. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you click the like button, and thank you so much for watching. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.